welcome and thank you for joining us for this workshop. We're calling this the FlowPreneur, and we'll have Bruce explain what FlowPreneur means. But some of you probably might have heard about this workshop from the podcast that I had the privilege of having Bruce on as a guest on my podcast. But this is the FlowPreneur's Mindset Workshop. What Bruce is going to share is really a small subset, but very impactful part of what he teaches his clients in his program, and he'll explain that in a moment. I'm Henry Lopez. I'll be the moderator, but Bruce will be doing the bulk of the presentation here. If you don't know me, I'm a serial entrepreneur and the host of the How of Business podcast. Bruce Ross, all the way from New Zealand. Thank you for joining us. He's the creator of FlowPreneur. He's a speaker, a coach, an entrepreneur, and he's with us tonight to share really a lot of insights into how we can eliminate a lot of that stress and self-doubt and overwhelm that can affect us, whether we haven't started our first business yet or we're in the middle of growing our business. It doesn't matter. The techniques and the insights that he shares apply regardless of what you happen to be doing in life. As I said, I had the privilege of having Bruce on the How of Business podcast back on episode 358. And after that conversation and getting to know each other, we thought this would be a great opportunity to share this with a broader audience. And so that's what we're going to do here today for the next hour or so. So let's go on to the next slide, if you would, Bruce. So again, I'm Henry Lopez. Bruce Ross is going to be doing the bulk of the presentation. And so go ahead to the next slide. So the agenda, very briefly, he's going to start with, is this you? Which I guarantee you it's going to resonate with you. Why listen to him? And so Bruce was going to share more about his background, who he is, how he got to this point, sharing this information with you. The goals for this webinar, what he wants to achieve by the time we're done here over the next hour or so. The 3 secrets, that's the heart of this, what he's going to share here. And then we'll summarize, and we have a special offer. So stay with us to the end, because if what Bruce shares resonates with you, then his program, which is very accessible, very affordable, but on top of it, we've got a special offer for the How of Business listeners. So I encourage you to stay with us for that. And then at the end, you'll be able to ask your questions. However, throughout, as you see there at the top right of the screen, use the chat feature to ask questions. I'm going to play moderator there and interject if I believe the question is best interjected at a point where Bruce is, or we will definitely try to address and answer all of your questions. If not during, then definitely at the end. We're allowing enough time at the end to do Q&A as well. So use the chat. You're all disabled as far as audio right now. At the end, depending on how many questions we have, we might open it up. So use the chat feature at any point in time. I'll be monitoring that, and we'll interject with those questions, or we'll get them all at the end. Having said all of that, I'm going to turn it over to Bruce.
Thank you very much, Henry. And look, I just want to say thank you very much. I've been very impressed with the quality. Henry was a podcast member or podcast interviewee on my podcast.
That's right.
That's how we met. I've been really impressed with his answers, his systems, his process. So I just want to say big shout out to you. Kudos to you. Thank you.
Thank you.
So is this you? And obviously you need to make sure that you're in the right place, that your time is being well spent. So you're an impact-driven, you could be a startup entrepreneur, or you could be a small business owner, or you could be looking to get into business. So somewhere in that start, grow, or scale spectrum, your business or your impending business has become the greatest source of stress in your life. You're maybe suffering from overwhelm, procrastination, worry, indecision, perfectionism. You may be doing the right things, or what you feel are the right things, or what you've been told are the right things, but you simply still can't break through to the next level of your business. You may have lost your mojo, and certainly that's totally understandable with regards to COVID and the stresses of having kids at home and a whole range of things, but don't know how to get it back. You may have a quite clear understanding that your beliefs, your limiting beliefs, are what's standing in your way, but you still, even though you know that, you can't shift them. You can't change the way you think. So if this resonates with you, you're absolutely in the right place. So a little bit about me, and I'm not going to go into great depth because I'm going to weave it throughout the presentation, but really I've spoken at over 30 annual conferences. My speciality is on the inner game of leadership. So you may not have a team, you're a team of one, but you still got to lead yourself. But also you're a parent, you've got to lead your family. And so what I'll be going through today is absolutely relevant, be it in a business context, commercial, or at home. So what I'm interested in is helping a person improve their impact across their life. So I have an affinity with you guys because back when I started up my business, prior to that, I was an employee. I was working with a company called New Zealand Home Loans. I was an internal performance coach, and it was a franchisee. It was a franchisor, so they were the master owners, and there were about 20 franchisees. So I was working with the franchisee owner and their sales team's performance. They came to you one day and said, "We really like what you're doing, Bruce, but we can't see a direct link between you and the bottom line. So we're going to make you redundant, restructure you out. We continue to use you for a couple of months. Here's some money to set up a business, go away." And so overnight, I went from being an employee to having a business, and I had no clue. Absolutely none. I had no business plan. I didn't really know what my point of distinction was. No marketing, no branding, nothing. And I found myself waking up at 20 to 4 in the morning in a state of anxiety. So panic and anxiety. And so I couldn't focus. I couldn't concentrate. I was paralyzed by this internal noise in my head. And being a performance coach, I knew, well, it had something to do with mindset. So I looked out there, I scoured the internet with what was available. What was available was there's mindfulness, or there's reframing, or there is yoga, or there's breath work, or there's meditation. And I tried all of that. And whilst it sort of worked, it didn't actually alleviate the fundamental noise and the paralysis that I felt. And so I was comfort eating, I was putting on weight. I was in a state of chronic desperation. So I'm not saying that that's where you are, but I've been there. If you're experiencing anything, I've probably been there myself. So massive insecurity. And then when you're trying to promote your business, you're trying to come across all strong and confident, but inside you're in turmoil. I get it. So that's actually what's caused me, one of the big drivers for me to work on what I have, which is how do we thrive inside a VUCA, volatile, uncertain, complex, and ambiguous work environment, commercial environment. So this came out of the military. They talked in terms of when a firefight kicks off, you can have a plan, have a strategy, but as soon as it goes live, it goes VUCA. Now, with COVID, it's VUCA 2.0. So everyone's experienced it. And so you've experienced over the last 12 months, VUCA on steroids. In fact, you're probably already, hasn't abated, hasn't stopped. So I'm interested in how do you thrive in such states. And so I've put together, as Henry noted, this model, this program called FlowPreneur. I'm not going to go into everything today. I'm going to focus on the most important. If I had to choose one, the most transformational element, it is this one here, mind state. So that's what I'm going to be going into today. So my goals for you for today really is that you experience a significant shift in the way you think, and one that accelerates your breakthrough in achieving your goals, developing your business, and the wider impact you want to have in the world. That you identify out of all the levers and knobs to pull or turn, which is the most effective, the most powerful. So you can actually identify what that is to increase your productivity, your proactivity, and your confidence. And understand the 2mm shift that will help you eliminate stress, anxiety, and overwhelm. So that's what I'm after for you today. And as you've got in the top right there, you may have questions arising from this. Just write those in, and I'm sure Henry will alert me to them. So I'm sure that you're going to be applying real attention, and I want to make today highly valuable for you. And I want to acknowledge your focus for the next, whatever it is, 45 minutes. If you stick through to the end, there's going to be a special bonus valued at $800, and this will not be available for those people who watch the replay. It's only available to you live attendees. So stick to the end and you'll have access to this. So I want to get into now the meat of the presentation, the 3 secrets. The first secret is whether you're in a start, which is maybe you're merging into thinking about getting into business, or you're just in that, haven't quite crossed the threshold start, or you've been in business a while looking to grow, or maybe you've been in business a lot longer and you want to scale. All three of these need three essentials. So what I'm going to go into is relevant no matter where you are in business. In fact, wherever you are in anything you want to do, these are the three essentials. So if you want breakthrough, if you want to be a great parent, if you want to be a great role model, if you want to be a great leader, if you want to be a great anything, you need these three things. The first is vision, clarity about what the future looks like. What is it you're heading towards? And clearly for leadership, we're heading this direction. Now, there's probably no news there. This is, so what? I get it. The next is action. You need to take what they call bold action. And by action, it's anything to do with execution. So this is the stuff that Henry is very, very good at. So the systems, the processes, the awarenesses, the HR systems, the marketing systems, the financial systems, the processes, anything to do with action. So it's planning, it's reviews, it's behaviors. Anything fits into that area of action. So if we've got vision and action, what do you think is the missing third? If you wouldn't mind just taking a few moments, what do you think is the third element of this stool, the third leg of the stool? And Henry, if you could just read out, I can't see what's in the chat box.
Yeah, I'm waiting to see if you've got some ideas here, put it in the chat. So I encourage you to do so. If you're going to get the most out of these 45 minutes, I encourage you to participate. It's a small group, so please, what do you think is the third component here of these three essentials? Just plug it into the chat.
I understand. I mean, it's probably a no-brainer because it's a mindset. It's a mindset workshop. It's mindset. So those are the three things: mindset, how you think about vision, how you think about action. That's the underlying thinking process. So if it is that mindset is part of this equation, and it is, what percentage impact do you think mindset has on the overall success equation? What sort of percentage impact? So again, there might be something coming through, Henry. Just put your figures of what you think mindset has, the percentage mindset has in the overall success equation.
Timmy says 75%.
Nice. Yeah, I agree. I think it's 80%, actually. And so what that means is that it's a darkened line here rather than, or just give me clarity about where I want to go and the steps I'm going to take to get there. It has a massive impact. So you need to think in terms of, probably no news here, but you need to think that we have, it's like the DNA helix. You've got action, need to take action, but it is supported by and potentialized by our mindset. So let me just take that one step further. What do I mean? So think about action as the how to achieve the vision. That's the how. Mindset is the allow or disallow. Because I know mindset, you say mindset to people, it's a bit fluffy, it's a bit vague. But if you think of it in terms of binary, the gate is shut or the gate is open. So you're listening to me at the moment. If you agree with what I'm saying, you're probably in an allow state. If you think it's a load of rubbish, you'll be in a disallow state. Now, if you are in an allow state, then that on the action side gives you inspired action. If you're in a disallow state, it causes inaction or procrastination or unproductive productivity or creative avoidance, whatever you like to call it. But there is something stopping and it's in the head going, oh no, I'll come back to it later. Procrastination, that's you're experiencing the disallow state. Now, I want to take this concept of the mindset out of the realms of concept and into the realms of reality for you guys. So what I'd like you to do right now is pick an area of your life, business or life, and just write one sentence as to what would a 10 out of 10 in that area look like. So take a moment now, select an area of life and you think, right, I want to improve in that area. What would a 10 out of 10 look like? And just write one sentence. You don't have to share it. It's just for you. So take maybe 30 seconds to do that now.
So like if I say in my personal family life, one sentence on what that would look like if it was 10 out of 10. Is that what you're saying?
Yeah. So it could be that I spend an hour of quality time with my kids every day. And I know it's quality time because there's free flowing laughter.
Okay.
That
And
could be a 10 out of 10.
that'd be a 10 out of 10 situation.
Yeah.
Okay.
Or it could be, I want to pull in a profit, turnover of 100 and a profit of 80, or plug in your figures. So it's just pick an area, and obviously because it's a vision, you haven't yet achieved it. Okay, now what you didn't know is that around your vision there is a force field, and another way of looking at it, it's like a chasm. So here you are, the current state, you haven't achieved that vision yet. You want to get to the vision clearly, but there is this chasm, and it's not that wide. But as you get close to it, you feel it as an inner conflict or an inner resistance. And that inner resistance comes from answering these questions. It won't happen because, or it will be hard because, or I can't because, or yeah, but nah. And then why? So just take a couple of moments and write down why it won't happen. Oh, no, because I don't have the time. Or I'm already so overwhelmed, or I haven't been trained, or I have no clue, whatever it might be. So write down for you answers to a couple of those questions. It'll be hard because, or I can't because I'm not big enough, not old enough, not intelligent enough, not wealthy enough, don't have a budget, whatever. So just take a couple of moments to write down your answers. And no, I won't be asking you to share them. It's okay. So what you've just experienced, mindset, is in that inner conflict, inner resistance. That is the mindset and what you need to be able to overcome to achieve your vision. Now, you can have exactly the same thing with regards to day-to-day activities. You're thinking to that thing, there's this resistance. That's mindset. And so it has this omnipresent element to it. So in fact, the way to think about our 3 essentials, especially for breakthrough, especially for moving things to the next level, is yes, I need to have clarity around the vision and I need to have the strategies in place, but mindset is hugely important. Now you may think, yeah, okay, I get that. Then there's a problem. And what I mean by that is if you were to go out there and look at what is available if I want to improve my mindset, what you'll find is there's a whole range. There's meditation, there's yoga, there's breath work. It could be personal development books. It could be affirmations, mantras, gratitude, reframing. All of this is what I call Mindset 1.0. I've been down there. I know this route. I've been to programs hundreds of programs. And what I have found is that they work, but they're slow and they're general. And so there you are, and you're feeling the state of overwhelm in a work scenario, and you go, right, breath work. Okay, they typically say, well, take 3 deep breaths. But it still doesn't change the thinking that caused the original state that you're feeling. So what I'm interested in, what we're going to be going into, is what I call Mindset 2.0, which is fast and specific. But let's move on. So now we go to secret number 2, and this is the number 1 barrier, because I was talking to you about, well, how do you eliminate? Well, let's help you understand the number 1 barrier to your personal and business growth. So let's climb into this. Remember before I was talking about the mind, and it had 2 elements. It was allow and disallow. So there we go, disallow and allow. And I want to unpack that and just give you more clarity around what's actually involved in those 2 states. And to do that, if you look up into the internet as to the world's best professional team of all time, and you come up with the top 10 list, this team appears twice. And overall, it's recognized as the best, the most successful, 87% success rate of all time. And it happens to be the All Blacks, which is the New Zealand rugby team. Now, you may never have heard of them. I totally get it. New Zealand is a mad, keen rugby nation, and we punch above our weight. We've got about 5 million people, and we're up against England and France and so on, and we win. Now, 2007 in the Rugby World Cup, we were expected to win hands down because we won the previous 12 games, and we got knocked out in the in the quarterfinals by France. And this was massive. It was massive in the rugby world. It was massive in New Zealand. There's massive soul searching. What the hell had not been prepared for? And what it was that the rugby team had never really been behind and had to come from behind to win. They'd always been winning by a huge margin. So they didn't have the understandings around working and having a mindset under pressure. So they brought in a mental skills coach by the name of Gilbert Inoka, and he had a phrase, stay in the blue, stay in the blue. And I think a good way of thinking about that is above the clouds, clear air, feels great, feels spacious. Stay in the blue. Now, the other side of that was red mist when we have anger. So think like a hot tap and a cold tap, red and blue. The red is that aggression, the constriction, any feeling of that tightness and agitation is what he called the red mist or the red dog, versus stay in the blue, relaxed and open. So as this applies to those two states I was talking about earlier, you've got the red state, the disallow, and we call this primal because it's activated our sympathetic nervous system, fight, flight, freeze. So your life partner could walk in the room, they've got a look of thunder on their face, and you think, oh, something I've done. Now, they may just have a toothache, but your thinking has triggered your own fight, flight, freeze state, which is this, oh, what do? Do I run? And typically we pick it up as something I've done. And you know that you've triggered that thinking system, that nervous system, because it doesn't feel good. So there's a whole range of feelings from just feel a bit through to massive outrage, the whole spectrum. That's when you know your thoughts have been triggered, the fight, flight, freeze, the sympathetic nervous system, your feelings don't feel good. Now, on the blue side, we're talking here about what I call powerful, because our thinking has triggered the parasympathetic nervous system, the rest and digest, rest and repair system. So we feel relaxed, we feel open, any feeling that feels good, clear, capable, insightful, perceptive, understanding, loving, compassionate, any feeling that does feel good. We're only ever one of those two states. We can't be in both at the same time. So even if you think, no, I'm feeling okay. Yeah, but if you had to choose, well, there's a little bit of red. Okay, so you're primal. Got it. Might be just lightly. That's fine. There is no judgment as to which one of these two states you're in. However, it's important to understand that when you're in a primal state, triggered, anxious, worried, stressed, overwhelmed, you're resourceless. So that's what I was feeling in that state of anxiety. It's like a half state, a zombie state. You're existing, you're not living. This is where friction lives. This is where surviving, not thriving lives. This is where struggle street lives. On the other side, the powerful state, we are fully resourceful. We feel relaxed. We feel open. We can create powerfully from the blue state. We cannot create powerfully from the red state. We cannot lead. We feel disconnected from ourselves and from others. And we have a lack of energy. So exhaustion sits on the red side. Quiet energy, a calm, an openness, a spaciousness sits on the blue side. So it's good to do a self-reflection. How many hours a day would you spend in feeling any of these? This problem or this issue is a disaster. I'm never having enough time. I'm not good enough. I'm worried about what others think. I'm second guessing what I've said, self-doubt, thinking that they shouldn't have or they should have done something, whatever. Just take a couple of moments and write down how many hours a day would you spend in experiencing any of these states. So in my experience, you've got ranges, and certainly if you're an entrepreneur, your whole day is being challenged. So my experience, somewhere between the 4 and the 5 hours a day. And so you've got, well, this is how many hours a year that you're impacted, that you're in that resourceless state, you're in that half state, that struggle state, that barely getting by, that exhausted state. So Again, there is no judgment about that. It's just important to be aware of it, though, because this is what's sucking, or this is what's blunting your attention and sucking the life out of you, is being in that state. So that's the number of hours, but let's look at the soft costs of being in the primal state. So when you're in the work environment, you're distracted. You can't focus. There's a state of quiet desperation as you're trying to get things done and never really feeling like you're going to get enough done. You clutch at the latest strategy. Well, this might work because everything isn't working so far. What about that? What about this? And so there's a perpetual state of, it's almost like the entrepreneur's carousel. You try this, you try that, you try this, the other thing. And there is this feeling of overwhelm. Within the family environment, you're at home, but you're not. You're an absentee parent or you're an absentee partner, and you're missing the magic moments with your children, the smile the first time they walked, or what they said, or the question they asked you, and your inability, because you're so distracted, to respond and giving the depth of empathy and love that you really want to give them. As a leader, when you're in this state, there really are only two ways you express it. You can either be explosive, abrasive, or implosive. You implode and you withdraw. So you avoid, you go quiet, you go silent. You can't lead. And as a result of that, there's low staff engagement. They don't want to be around you. With regards to your health, this is where you have the broken sleep. And this is what I was suffering from with the anxiety. People go into relief, anything to get me the hell out of here. This is too painful. So some sort of self-medication, and this is where you get addictive behaviors. And if you stay there long enough, it's mental health issues. It has a massive impact on self-esteem. It's like holes in your energetic bucket. There is no energy left, and that turns up as lack of confidence. There's this persuasive insecurity, self-doubt, and what's what they call the imposter syndrome. So you could be presenting very well, but underneath it all, you feel like you're an imposter and you can't recharge. So they've done research around the percentages of thoughts that are in this triggered primal state. And this was about 10 to 15 years ago. It was 70% of our thoughts are in this primal state. Now, I think that's probably even up to 80% given the COVID, what's been going on worldwide with regards to COVID. So that's a lot. And this is why you can see the road rage for no apparent reason. People just fly off because they're in this deep primal state. And there's so many things going on that, you know, we're in a red tinged world at the moment. So what we need is some way, some method to move from the red, we are triggered, to the blue quickly. That's the name of the game. That's actually what's really important. And so this is why I'm interested in this whole area of Mindset 2.0. Now, Mindset 2.0 is transformation. It's the tools, the process of actual transformation, personal evolution, where you get to rewire your thinking by using your own mind. The great thing about this, it's science-backed, it's simple, it's easily repeatable, it's fast and specific. And so you may recognize you're in this agitated state. How do you move back? Because you want to move back into the blue state because life feels good there, but also you're able to think through, make clear decisions, live with those decisions. You're robust to take the hits. You can be there in the moment with your children. Blue, being in the blue, is the place to be. You want to be in there 80% of the time. So the number one barrier that I was talking to you about that you were attracted to on this webinar, the number one barrier is really that you stay too long in the red. It's not about whether you get triggered, it's how quickly you move from the red to the blue. What are the tools and mechanisms you have to get there? So let's move on to secret number 3. Secret number 3 is the problem is not the problem. That's a little bit enigmatic. The problem is not the problem. What do I mean by that? Well, at the moment, you're experiencing some real problems, some real issues. I'm not attracting the quality of people that I need. So it could be to do with new clients, or it could be staff. You've got a team, you want to grow a team. Or you're feeling like I'm not as far along as I should be. Or I'm overwhelmed. There's not enough time. Nobody helps me. No one can do it as well as I can. And, it's just not going to get done right unless I do it. And so those are real issues. You're going, yeah, Bruce, that's, all consuming. So let's look into this. And to do this, I want to introduce you to the 5 primary drivers. Now, the 5 primary drivers is the operating system of how the human works. It's the basis of behavioral psychology. And the way it works is the first are our beliefs. Now, our beliefs are formed 90% of the time between 0 and 7 years of age. There's maybe another 10% if we have traumas beyond that, but the vast majority are when we don't have the prefrontal cortex working to evaluate what's actually going on. Things just come in and we accept them. We don't evaluate and assess or filter. That's a silly thought. It just simply all goes in. So a belief could be something you've heard from your parents, or it could be something that you heard at school from another child who was simply parroting the beliefs of their parents. Or you heard a teacher and they were talking about their beliefs or the beliefs that their parents put into them. And then all of a sudden, those beliefs are programmed into you. And then here we are in adult life. Later, we have thoughts that are directly related to the beliefs. The Matrix, the movie The Matrix, the Matrix that we all live in is made up of our beliefs. And we can't have a thought that is non-congruent with our beliefs. Our thoughts come out of the Matrix, what's already been put up here. And so our thoughts are in alignment. So if you believe that there's not enough time, you'll constantly have the thoughts that you're not going to get it done. You're not going to get it done on time. It's going to be a disaster. It will fail, and probably I will fail, and I am a failure. I mean, that's typically the thinking process that goes on. And so you can't have a different thought to a belief that you have. And so here you are moving on from maybe 20, 30, 40 years from when you had that initial belief, and you're having thoughts that confirm it. So when you have those thoughts, you have congruent feelings. You can't feel happy when you're having a depressed thought. You will have a feeling that's congruent with the thought. So think of it this way, that we actually feel our thoughts. There's a thought, and this is transmitted as a biological cascade of information, and that's communicated through our nervous system as a feeling. So we literally feel our thoughts. So there you are. You don't feel like you're good enough. That's a belief, or I'm not getting enough done. So there you are trying to grow your business. And the thoughts that you'll have is, I'm probably not going to write this communication very well, or present, or do this sales presentation particularly well. I'll probably get it wrong. The feeling will be lack of confidence. And so if you have the thoughts, I'm probably going to get this wrong, or it probably won't work out, the feelings of insecurity or lack of confidence, it will cause action. And that will be inaction, like distraction or avoidance, or action of some form. So if you're feeling strong, you'll take action based on the strength. If you're feeling weak, you'll take action around avoidance, because why go over there, because it's going to fail anyway. So why put myself through that stress and trauma? So if you've got this belief that you're not as far along as you should be, you have the thoughts of, heck, I'm going to have to get this done, and no one else is going to get it done as well as I can. The feelings of worry, overwhelm, action of dispersed, bit of this, bit of that, bit of the other, can't focus. It's going to cause certain results. And those results are what you experience as your problem. So before, when we were talking about your real problem, it was the end result of this chain of consequences. So if it is that I've got a problem because I don't have enough money, or I've got a problem because my team is not doing what they're supposed to be doing, or I've got a problem because I'm stressed out all the time, or I've got a problem because I don't have enough time, or I've got a conflict with my life partner, these are just results. Now, the thing is, those results confirm the original belief. So I'm not good enough, thoughts of this will probably fail, feelings of insecurity, inaction, distraction, poor results, confirming the fact that I'm not good enough. So the question is, if you're getting results that you're not happy with or that aren't achieving at the level that you want, where do you start? Do you go for, I need to change my actions, I need to change my strategies, I need to get time management? But you could be trying to apply time management from a worried state. Oh, okay, I need to change my feelings. I need to take 3 deep breaths. At least I feel a little bit better. Yeah, but then as soon as you've stopped, you'll still have the thoughts of, I probably won't get this done on time. So the place to unpick or unpack or focus is actually at the level of beliefs. Beliefs are responsible for every result in your business and your life. That's the bottom line. Now, what we have is we also have our brain.
We did have a question back on
the
slide here. And the question is about procrastination and whether that's how sometimes that inaction, we might call that procrastination is the question. Is that correct?
Yeah, so what procrastination is, it's like a mental block. Why do I'm not going to go ahead and do this because if I do, I'll probably fail. Because that's the thinking about doing that action. So I avoid it. I say, well, I need to get myself in a better state of mind then. So I go and wash the windows or go and have another coffee or have something to eat to feel better, change my feeling state. But in fact, the procrastination is the thinking about that task. It's the belief that it all comes from.
Got it. The other question that came in is, it was related back to being in the red or the primal. And the question was, is it, and I think you explained this, is it normal that sometimes you're going to have sometimes when you're in the primal state that's normal?
Okay. So when we look at what triggers us into primal or powerful, it's our thinking that triggers them. When I say thinking, you probably think, oh, it's our conscious thought. No. 90%, 95% of our cognition is actually subconscious beliefs. So I could, as an example, my life partner comes in, she's got a particular look on her face. I associate that with a belief that I set up that happened when I was a child. So this is at the subconscious level. It happens in a nanosecond. Oh, I've done something wrong. Now that thought could have been placed in the 0 to 7 years of age. It's now a belief structure. It's been unevaluated. I'll give you an example. There was a lady I know who was has just gone through her second harmful relationship, so domestic abuse. And she reflected back, she found out the point where it had all started from, and that was when she was 2 years of age. She was sucking on a wheel on a plastic plane. Her mother said, if you don't stop sucking on that, I'm going to take that away from you. Now, how she interpreted it was, if I don't do what I'm told, I will lose what is precious to me. So that later in life translated to, in a relationship, if I don't do what I'm told, unless I'm totally subservient, I'll lose what is precious to me. Now that all happened at a semi-subconscious level, and therefore she was being triggered into the primal state just like that, and she didn't even know consciously she was doing it. So is it a natural thing to be triggered? Yes, but it's how often we are and how quickly we get out of it.
Right.
So
yes, because it's not realistic to say that we can get to a point where we'll never be in the primal state.
It's a survival technique.
Yeah.
I mean, you see a lion, you're triggered. Fight, flight, freeze. That's a very real threat. But what we're facing in today's world, 21st century, is that our thinking triggers us there. And so what we need is tools to get us out of that, because the more time we spend there, it's exhausting. So the aim really is to spend 80% of our time in the blue, not 80% in the red. That's what I do. That's what I help people get to. How do you get over there? Hopefully that's answered the question.
Yes, I believe it does.
Okay. So if I haven't, then you're most welcome to write that in. Okay. So I was talking about the goal. The brain is a goal-achieving machine, meaning it produces our most predominant thought process. So for instance, that lady that was in the abusive relationships, what was going on in her head was, unless I do what I'm told, I'll lose what's precious. So guess what she created in her world? The brain is a goal-achieving machine. That was the predominant thought process. The brain said that's what she wants, so I'll produce that reality, that result for her. Now, it wasn't until, because of the extreme pain she went through, she realized she needed to change that initial instigating belief. So what we have, they're not really the real problem. They're a false problem. That false problem, as a result, was I'm not attracting the quality of people that I need. The actual problem is I'm afraid to invest in myself. I don't believe that I am of value or what I have is of value. That's one of the underlying beliefs. I'm not saying it is in your case, but it's something in that area. I'm not as far along as I should be. That's a real issue. That's a real problem. Yes, but that comes because you're so desperate in the red that you're unable to operate from the powerful blue state. And so it causes you to scramble. I'm overwhelmed and there's not enough time and no one helps me and no one gets it right. The actual problem is that I don't trust that anyone can do it as well as I, and I'm afraid, and so I over-control things. So if you look at afraid, that's a red state. Over-control, red state. So those are the feelings that cause us to behave that way. So what we're looking at is the beliefs behind all the results. So here's the stinger of the question, I guess, is what is your belief about beliefs? Because if your belief about beliefs is they're fixed, then you will have the thoughts, the feelings, the actions, the results to confirm that belief. If you believe that beliefs are malleable, you will have the thoughts, the feelings, and so on to confirm that belief. So that becomes the reality for you. So my experience is that most people believe that beliefs can be changed, but it's slow and it's torturous. It takes a long time if you're lucky. What I'd like to tell you is my belief is that beliefs are vaporizable. Oh, really? Prove it, Bruce, prove it. Okay, well, there are a number of proofs, but I'll give you one very quick one here now, because we need to materialize what is a belief, because it's hard to get your hands around. It's quite vague, this belief. So we need to materialize a belief. And a belief, when you look at it, is simply a decision. A decision, a conclusion that you came up with when you were a child. I remember 5 years old, I had a party, invited some friends around. They were there, I turned away, turned back, they were gone. And my thought was, friends can't be trusted, they'll always let you down. Now, that was just an arbitrary decision I made. It was just a transitory thought that went through, but I clung on to that. And I remember consciously having the thought at 21, hey, Bruce, do you want to come out for a party? In my head, party, friends, or strangers could become friends. Yeah, what's the point? Because friends will always let you down. That's how it plays out. And so once you understand that, in fact, beliefs are decisions, and only decisions, are decisions you made at a certain point of time that were never really updated or refreshed, can you make new decisions? Absolutely. Totally you can. You can choose this, not that. You can go in this direction, not that direction. You can make new decisions every day. So now we're beginning to unpack the heavy laden, the heaviness of beliefs. So secret number 3 is the problem. The result is not the problem. The problem is, in fact, not knowing how to remaster your limiting beliefs. That's the real problem. So let's look at this in terms of how does this play out in everyday life. So this is Jen. She's an appeals lawyer. So she works by herself. So if you like, a solopreneur, she's got to get people to her. She's got to do a good job. Solo mum of 2, special needs 10 and 12, special needs daughter of 12. And for 15 years, she'd been slugging away. She'd been within a certain band. Her business had plateaued. But what had happened recently was that a judge had really reamed her out in court, and she was traumatized. So she was massively in the red. And this was this was something she loved to do. She wanted to be a very good, what they call appellate appeals lawyer. Now, she'd been suffering from self-doubt and overthinking pretty much most of her life, and had been taking its toll, but had been exacerbated or accelerated by this judge and the impact that it had on her. And so the very thing she loved to do was killing her. So she was even deeply questioning if she could continue because of that state. For me, it was anxiety. For her, it was deep desperation. So after 3 months of working together, when we're working specifically on those mind state tools, her mojo returned. She was 70 to 80% of the time in the blue. She felt lighter, more in control. She was able to blast through procrastination because there wasn't this overthinking about, oh, what if I get it wrong? Oh. And because of her new confidence, clarity, decision-making that comes from the blue state, she was able to increase her bottom line by over 200%. She felt calm and focused, and she was absolutely present for her kids, especially the high needs daughter, could stand the line and could make sure she was able to do a strong mothering of her daughter, which she knew she had to. Another lady is Elle Wuthridge. Now, Elle had just recently wanted to get into, she hadn't started a business. She's working as an intern for a financial advisor. She's getting her qualifications, but she's really worried because she'd been suffering from stress, 9 out of 10 stress levels for a couple of years. She's forgetting things. She couldn't focus at work. She's constantly tired because she couldn't sleep. And this was impacting her confidence, even though she wanted to get into financial advisory work, which she knew was her calling. And so what she wanted was not just clarity, and she didn't want to plan. She needed to boost her confidence. She needed to feel more comfortable with who she was. She wanted a rapid personal evolution toolbox. So we worked together. Within 3 months, her stress and anxiety level went down from a 9 to a 3, productivity up by 70%. She felt like she's an all-round better person without medication or therapy. And when I asked her about any unexpected benefits, she said, well, she'd always been worried about the future, but now she's very positive about who she is, no matter what the future may have in store for her. So this is how you energize your core and are able to take strong action, this bold action that everyone is aspiring to. So I guess the question is, what would your life and your family life and your business life look like if you're able to operate 80% of the time from the blue zone? If you could develop that unshakable mindset, the blue zone state, and eliminate the stress, worry, overwhelm that's really been stealing your achievement, your joy, and your dreams, you could apply the tools and the skills fast and thereby actually experience transformation. So you're rewiring the brain, has a permanency to it. And all of this will enable you to achieve your boldest goals without burning out. So less friction, more flow. So what you're after is time freedom, financial freedom, and that comes when you have psychological freedom, which is the unshakable mindset. This is how you get to have the extraordinary life that you're after and achieve the impact that you want in the world. So in summary, the 3 secrets. The first is vision, action, mindset. Mindset's massive. Mindset's 80% of the solution. The first barrier, the massive barrier to overcome really is to not go for things that you want, but how do I overcome the offset and the dissonance that comes from when I'm in the red? So it's how long I spend in the red. I need the tools to get out. And the problem is not the problem. The problem that you perceive as the problem is the end result of a chain of events that gets triggered by a certain belief, a certain limiting belief. So where is all of this leading? Well, if it is that you are interested, then obviously there is a program, yes. And so I'm going to go through that with you now to see if there is any interest, and then open up for questions and answers. So the Mind State module, if you were to get it as part of the overall FlowPreneur model, the overarching model that encompasses all 4 modules, then it would be $2,364. That's the usual price. But because Henry has twisted my arm, that won't be what you'll be paying if you're interested. It is an online program, So there's 21 lessons of 5 to 11 minutes in length. It's 12 weeks of weekly group coaching, and that's between 1 and 1.5 hours. Is a 24/7 support group, so you can interact with me, with other members on the program, get their advice, get their input. It's like asynchronous coaching, which is you ask a question, sometime later I respond, so support that way. And the other thing too is that it's a project-based focus, meaning I get it, you really want to grow your business, and you get it, mindset's important. But what if we just focus on mindset? How do we make sure that I get on and achieve the things that I want to achieve in my life? Well, we come up with right up front is, what is the project that you want to have accomplished in the first 3 months? So it's like a 3-month sprint, that if I really want to achieve up here, I will need certain mind states to get there and achieve it, which really puts the pressure on me and you to get there. The other thing too is that 80% is mindset. You've still got 20% around vision and action. I can help with that. I've done business coaching. My major is leadership and mindset. My minor is business, so I can certainly help on that side as well. Now, if you are interested and you sign up in the next 48 hours, there is that $800 bonus, or the incentive that I was talking to you about earlier. So the investment for the 3 months is $997. So that's over a 55% discount. You pay it off over 3 months. The first month is only $50. And during that time, you get access to the workbooks, you get access to the coaching, you get access to the support. And if you decide to go further, then there are 2 further payments of $473. But if for whatever reason you determine that it's not quite for you, then $50 is all you pay. So what you get is the training, the insights, the worksheets, the online training, the support. And when you're talking about mindset training, this is training for life. So this is, you understand this, you can train your kids up. You can train your husband or partner up, or life partner up. You can apply it across all areas, because in every area, even when you grow, new level, new devil, you'll still need an updated, revised dismantling or remastering of your limiting beliefs. The additional bonus is that for the first 10 who sign up, they'll get 1 hour free coaching with me, where we go deep, go fast, and I can guarantee a breakthrough, valued at $600. If you sign up after 48 hours, so beyond 48 hours from when this is released today, then the figure goes up to $1197, and you don't get the one-on-one coaching. You still get the weekly coaching, the access to the online program, and the worksheets. So if you're interested, my recommendation is let's have a chat. And I think Henry will put the link in the chat box.
Yes, sir.
Let's have a conversation. There won't be any arm twisting. It's just a simple conversation to see whether this fits for you. I'll let you know. If it doesn't, I'll let you know. Maybe I can help you by pointing someone else in your direction. But this certainly gives you a good background as to what to expect. So now I think we've got a bit of time for questions.
Yeah, let's open it up to questions. We don't have too big of a group, so if you either want to put it in the chat or raise your hand, meaning through Zoom, I'll allow you to speak, and you can converse here and ask the question. While we're waiting for those to come in, I do have a question in general as I was thinking about this again, Bruce. And that is, why do you think we are so hesitant, in your experience, to even think that we can change, or as you call, remaster our beliefs?
Because the evidence, we have a belief because of the evidence. Now, that evidence could be an authority person telling you that this is the case. So your parents could have said, look, you're hopeless, Bruce. So I take it that this person who's an authority should know, they know, and so I must be hopeless. So there's the evidence. Or I see evidence around me that I am, quote unquote, hopeless. Now that gets, the reason that there's a thing called the deficit focus. Humans have an orientation towards the negative. If there's a beautiful picture and a gory picture, we spend 6 times as long on the gory picture. And it's a bit like, you probably heard, what's the ratio? How many positives to 1 negative? So let's say you and I have an argument. You could say, well, that's 1 unit of negativity. what needs to happen in our relationship for that to get balanced, it's a 5-to-1 ratio. So we have this predisposition in ourselves to see what's wrong, to look at the deficit. And if we have a belief system that says, well, I'm not very good, I will see the evidence that reinforces that.
Yeah.
So it's the way the brain is wired. We've really got to consciously think and build up the muscles to show that we are successful. And where's the evidence for our success? So we don't see the evidence of change or change being easy, because what we see the most evidence of is repetitive habits that hold us stuck.
All right. Another question came in here. When you're creating the groups in the program,
yeah,
is that based on the problem the members of the group would like to solve? Like if it's personal or business, how many people are in the group also?
So there is it's a new group starting this in about 2 weeks, and you guys would be part of that if you were to go ahead, would be part of that group. And it doesn't matter whatever the issue is, be it work, be it home, be it trying to handle COVID, be it, I do this work on myself every day. And today I was working on myself. I find creative writing hard. That's what I tell myself. So that's a belief that I have about creative writing. Now, I could have lived with that and go, well, that's just who I am. No, I choose to work to unpack or remaster that belief system. So it doesn't matter what issue you face. Most people come in with what I really consider to be nasty, big, overwhelming, paralyzing things. But it can be, how do I get a better voice? I don't think I've got a very good voice. We can apply this to any and every area of your life.
All right. So it's mixed. It could be personal, could be business. How big are typically the groups?
Reasonably small. We're probably talking about 7 to 10 people.
Okay.
So you will get your questions answered every time. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Right. Keep putting the questions in the chat and I'll try to get through them all here. The thing that I've observed, Bruce, that I want to also throw out here in the last couple minutes is it's that a lot of this, obviously it's about mindset. And I find that in so many aspects of people either not getting started with their business or being frustrated with not being able to grow. And yet it seems to be the area that we're at least wanting to put the effort to work on.
Yeah. And that's because it's hard to see the label when you're still inside the jar. Mm-hmm. So to think about your own thinking, it's hard to get outside it until you've got the tools to do that. So initially you do need someone else to help.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Another question, what do you think about manifestation?
So yeah, absolutely. We live in a vibrational universe and the brain is a vibrational generator. So what you're talking about is, if you look at the vibrations and the frequencies of what fits in blue, they're at the higher spectrum. If you look at what fits in red, it's in the lower spectrum. So if you want to go down slightly woo-woo, we can talk about that. But in terms of practicality, it's just simply, does this thinking cause you to feel a bad feeling? It doesn't feel good, or it does feel good. So let's just keep it nice and simple at that level.
Yeah, and let me know that if that did not answer the question and you need more clarification on that. Thanks for that question. Okay, we'll give it another. Great, she says okay. All right, if there are no other questions, we're right at 9:00. I always appreciate starting and stopping as we promised we would, because people have invested this hour with us. Bruce, any last thoughts before we wrap it up here on this topic?
I would say that in terms of actual progress, elevation, sense of transformation, sense of becoming the person that you feel you can be, this area of mindset is by far and away the quickest transformation. So there are 2 transformations. There's fast and there's slow. The quick one is the mindset, where you see things from a different perspective, or when you were locked in a certain way of thinking and now you feel free. The second and the slower is when you implement, and that takes time. It's called habit building. But if you're looking for rapid change, mindset is where you look.
And so in this program, what you get into more detail on, amongst other things, is the more of the specific tools that'll help me remaster those beliefs in part.
Totally. It's all around the practical process of transformation. So not the philosophical, but actual tools, step by step. I'll walk you through those. Yep.
Yeah. All right. No other questions. Thank you, Bruce. Fantastic content. Thanks for sharing again. I certainly got a lot out of it. Thank you all for attending. For those of you who attended, we will be getting an email with a link to the recording so that you can listen to it again if you wish. And again, the opportunity is there to chat with Bruce. There's no obligation, just like I do with the free coaching consultation. Reach out to Bruce. The link is in the chat. So, and if for some reason you don't get that, I'll put it in the email again that I'll send probably tomorrow. Take advantage of that. Listen, just spending some time on the phone with Bruce is worthwhile. He's like me. We feed off of sharing and getting to know people. And so it's a no risk opportunity to take it that next step. And then if you think this is a good fit for you, all you're investing is $50. And if a month into it, it's not working for you, then that's all that you've invested is the $50. So it's a great opportunity, what he's offering here. Thanks again for joining us tonight. Thank you, Bruce. Everybody have a great night.
Thank you.
Good day.
Bye-bye.